Hi everyone, it's Andy from Hobby Headquarters, and today we're going to be building the Tamiya 1/35th scale Nashorn. If you'd like more information on this kit, you can visit my website at andyshobbyheadquarters.com. Let's get started on it. Like most German kits, there are a lot of road wheels on this, so I decided to do them assembly line style. As you can see here, I'm just putting the individual little rubber gaskets in there, and actually the wheels will actually turn after we're done with this. And it's probably easier just to go do these all first. It's kind of monotonous to do this, but once you get it done, you can get on to actually building the tank. I've gone ahead and assembled the rest of the gun inside all the little parts. I was going to do it on the video itself, but there are so many little tiny parts that you have to get so close to. It would have been really, really hard filming. Rest assured that it's not impossible to do. It's just a lot of time-consuming work doing the little tiny little bars and things like that inside. Now that we have the whole gun assembled, we're going to spray the entire model with XF69 NATO Black. What this is going to do now too is it's going to show us anywhere our flaws are. Like if we left any spot on the barrel, if there was like a high point, or on the muzzle brake, or any of the other parts. So this will show us where all the mistakes are, and then we can go ahead and fix them. Let's get painting on it. Okay, let's see. I have a nice flat, even NATO black coat over the entire model. This is going to act as our shadow coat going forward, because we're now going to paint basically the entire model again, XF60. This is dark yellow. This is the standard color from 1943 on that the Germans would have painted their vehicles. And since we're about to do that too, I'll show you my airbrush. This is the airbrush I use quite often. It's an Iwata HPC. It's the one you see in most of my videos. I get a question all the time, what type do I use? And I really love the gravity-fed airbrush. Works really well. You can have a lower pressure than the regular siphon suction type. So let's get this going right here with the dark yellow. One thing too, while we're working on this right here, try not to go super heavy on the outer edges or any cracks. The whole reason we put the NATO black down was to give a shadow effect. So if we leave it kind of light inside of there, after we put the dull coat on, it'll kind of make the paint kind of separate slightly, and you'll be able to see a lot more of the shadow coat come through. Okay, here I'm going to show you how to do a technique of using the airbrush to actually paint the wheels black. Now I'm going to have to get really close with the airbrush, so sometimes my hand's going to pop in front of the screen, and I apologize about that, but that's the only way I'm going to kind of be able to show you how this works. Now you are going to get overspray, and it'll look a little messy, but don't worry, everything will work out once you're all done with it. And now we've got the black on, and yes, it looks a little crazy with all the overspray, but what we're going to do now is we're going to turn the compressor down real low to probably about 10 pounds of pressure. We're going to use our dark yellow again, and we're going to go and try to touch up some of the areas that we got the overspray on. So let's do that now. Now you can kind of see in that little area right there, we've gotten rid of most of the overspray, and you don't really have to get rid of all of it because once we weather it, it's going to hide a lot of the things. We're also going to go now and touch up the center of the wheels. Oops, sorry about bumping the camera. And yes, there's still a little overspray, but don't panic because when we put the buff coat on, which is going to dull all the black down, it's going to completely hide all of that. So I'm going to finish touching that up off camera so I can actually get close enough without bumping the camera every time, and I'll be right back. I'm going to use a little NATO green as the German camouflage on that, and we're just going to do some small little areas on it. We'll work more on the wheels down here after we put the green camouflage on. We're going to do a little dry brushing now with some NATO black, using a kind of a flat wide brush. Dip it in a little bit in the NATO black, and then what you want to do with the dry brushing is take as much as possible out of the brush to the point where it starts to do just barely, and then you're going to start wanting to, like up on this front piece, just start hitting some of the high edges. Especially on these drive sprockets, it's good to actually go towards the center because it'll scratch the way paint would normally come off because the tracks are rolling over it. And then you can put a little in the middle and see it starts to highlight the road wheels. Same thing here, you can slightly go over some of the road wheels. Get a little bit of the scratching in, and also if you hit, because you're using NATO black, if you hit the edge of the rubber, it just kind of even highlights it a little bit more. And then the rubber starts to blend in more on it, and a little bit on the return. we'll start doing some of the areas on the actual vehicle itself. See how the bolt heads start to pop out. Now I still haven't dunked the brush back in paint, so we're still using the same paint from earlier, because you're going to be very careful not to get too much on this area. This anywhere paint would want to come off, especially like these hinges up front here. Hopefully you can see it, but how they start to pop out, all the little areas. This part right here will look really good like it too. Let's get all the scratches. Where guys would be sliding off the vehicle, paint's going to come off. Hinges, they're going to start to lose paint from being used. Especially like the jack, even a little bit on the light itself. Hopefully you can see that, how it starts to highlight a lot of the little things on it. Okay, I'm going to finish that up a little bit and we'll be back in a minute. Okay, while we have the NATO blackout, we're going to give the tracks a single coat of it right there so it's not so shiny. I've done some more dry brush weathering on the inside of the fighting compartment, especially around the gun, assuming that that would have been pretty beaten up most of the time. And as you can see, we went ahead and did some more of the weathering up front here. This is just mild stuff. Part 2 of the video is going to be completely weathering this vehicle. I'm actually getting ready for my big model show, ModelCon. It's the first year we're having it, so got a lot of work to do, but I wanted to take a little break and build up a model for you. Overall, the Tamiya kit is, like any Tamiya kit, absolutely wonderful. There's lots of little tiny parts to go into building the gun. Nothing impossible to build, but just got to be a little bit careful, especially around some of the sights and some of the things like that. Everything lined up really well. What we're going to do in the next video too is we're going to do some things with the tracks to get them to look like they're sagging while still using the rubber bands. And as you can see, before we actually even did any more weathering on it, the wheels actually don't look too bad just like that, but once we put the dirt on it and then finish all the other pieces, it's going to look really well. I appreciate you watching this video, and stay tuned. The second video on weathering it will be out very soon.